Editor Newware here. Listen, you guys, these video interviews are long. And to be fair, all of them are long. I mean, I've had ones that were an hour to 4 hours long. So I'm breaking them up. However, I couldn't tell you how many videos this particular interview is going to be in, but I try to break them up between 20 and 30 minutes. So I'll leave a link in the description for the playlist for this interview, as well as the sequence in which this interview video is. I hope you guys enjoy, so let's just hop right back into it. Welcome back to Chocolate Espresso Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Newware. Go to Float Your Fancy. Hey, look, you know that hair follicle that fell on the couch and the dog that likes to play on it? So you got to get the vacuum out to, the vacuum the couch. But, the dog hates the vacuum, so the vacuum really gets him excited because really it's too loud. So you're like that follicle that got vacuumed up and then dumped it to the trash. So then the garbage truck came and took it to the dump. If you don't like, share, and subscribe, you're like that follicle. You're trash to me, but that's okay because I love the trash. It heats out all of downtown St. Paul. Y'all didn't know that. Fun little fact here. Anyway, today we're doing another interview. Well, not really so much an interview, but more of like talking about AI. And it's like 2 against 1. But you know what? I'm going to let them introduce themselves because as you know, no one can introduce you better than yourself. I'm going to pass the buck.
What's going on, man? It's your boy Graffiti, audio engineer. Been in this music industry for almost 15 years now. I kind of see the direction it's heading and we're prepared for that. So I'm here to talk about where I think it's going to be and where it's kind of at right now. So
awesome. I got my boy.
I already know it's Simia. Also, that's my AKA artist name, Simia. Been in the music industry for a year. Producer / artist. And yeah, we're going to talk about these AIs.
Listen.
AIs.
Listen. Let me tell you something. I, for one, want to embrace the AI overlords. Listen, no one else but me currently in this studio right now wants to believe that artificial intelligence could have an artificial soul very similar to a human soul. Not the same, but very similar. I think, and this is my argument, this is how we're going to spark this off in all several different industries. This is what I think, right?
Oh, man.
I think at some point, if you take a human being and you froze them and you thawed them out in about 50 to maybe 100 years from now, and that's a guarantee, 50 to 100 years from now, if you woke them up, they're alive, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between an actual animatronic, I feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong, animatronic droid that is so human-like and so capable of looking and feeling and sounding and acting just like a human, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And it's because they have an artificial soul. They think, they feel, they understand just as much as we do because we programmed them to. And at some point, they started programming themselves. Tell me if I'm wrong. I want to hear these arguments. I want to know.
The fact that you just said that it has feelings, I'm thinking of the movie, was it iRobot? With Will Smith.
That's right.
When he was, I guess I'm sure everybody's seen that movie where the robot wanted to be human or was programmed in a certain way. But even with that itself, there was still a dysfunction in that system to a point that it couldn't really take over. It couldn't really do the things that human can do. It wanted to do that because that's what we program it to do. But at the end of the day of it, it's like you're a machine. You weren't born with this artificial soul or might have been created and or whatsoever, but it's made. So a soul is something that, like I said, I feel like the soul is connected to everything. That's the medium. That's where without your soul, you wouldn't even be human. You're outside of the body, that's your soul. You take the artificial soul outside of the robot, what is it? A machine. It's nothing. So it's still a machine with the artificial soul and without it. And like we said before, man, you can turn it off and turn it back on. It's life or death. You're just adding into it. With the humans, you can't do that. Once I shoot you, you're done. So with a robot, I shoot a robot, what is it going to do? I can rebuild it back and it can come back to life, so to say. But human, it's not the same. It's not the same touch. And the fact that you have to program it and you have to teach it these things, not saying as humans, when we're kids, you got to show us the steps whatsoever, but certain things are just automatically genetics. You know what right or wrong is. Even I feel like if you want thought, your conscience would tell you that. A robot doesn't have a conscience. It just have a machine. No. It doesn't have I don't think. What conscience does it have? Then the machine that's been programmed into it. That's not a conscience. That is just a hardware device that is installed. You take that memory gig out, you take all that out, it's just a plain old machine. Mike, eventually it'll die out. So, I mean, that's just where I have to go with that, man. I don't think AI is it's here. It's already replacing people's job, but is it gonna replace a human? No.
What's your argument?
What's my argument? I agree with everything he said, and I have many examples where people fear these AIs and stuff. Like, for example, one of the first drum pads, I think it was called like the Lin. Michael Jackson used it in his song, and they had that boots and cat kind of rhythm. When that drum pad came out, every drummer thought it was over. Like, everyone was like, oh, snap, this little thing size this big is, creating little drum beats bigger than me. But today we still got drummers. Today we still got orchestra. Today we still got people playing guitar. And actually, guitar is one of the hardest things to recreate with AI because of the string motion. You can't really capture that string and AI generated. But look, I know what you're thinking. That like the AI can do everything. It's just that the AI can only do what the human tells it to do. And when you think that AI is learning more, it's only learning more from what the human programmed it to learn. So it can't learn anything new besides what the humans is already programming it what to search for.
Mm-hmm.
But it can't search for something new unless the human tells it to search for this new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's just impossible for AI to replace a human. But I do think, now don't get me wrong, I think that AIs can do a lot of things very basically well that is good enough to replace many people's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone comes back better, like, hey, I can do this job better than that AI, then they're going to have to teach that AI to be better than that human.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of that, it's going to be separate. Like, humans are humans, dogs are dogs, AIs are AIs. We're all going to be specifically good at a certain thing. That's just my argument.
I need to debunk systematically everything you guys talked about.
Okay.
I will be glad to give y'all more time than me because that's how confident I am in debunking this crap. I'm going to start off with a question.
Mm-hmm.
What is consciousness? Is consciousness tied to a soul? Is your soul consciousness as a whole? Can you define that? Like, what is consciousness to you? And you can't say it's just being aware of oneself because dogs are aware of themselves to an extent. So are half the other animals. So I have to throw that out the window because people will define consciousness as just awareness. That's not fair.
I mean, I think consciousness is, whether you like to hear it or not, it is about being aware of everything you're doing, but it's more so about being like, more than just being aware, but more so just being in control of whatever thought and, process, whatever just goes through your mental or just go through the day. You are aware of everything. And then to have consciousness, it also means you have a subconscious too that you're not aware of, that it's in your memory, it's in your brain. And to me, it's like a robot cannot generate that. That's not something that you can. I don't care how much you program it to have consciousness, or just it doesn't even have a subconscious. You turn it off. My thing is, if you can have consciousness with a robot and tell it to do this and do this and do that, then it should be automatically want to power off himself and say, hey, you know what? The time for me to do this is done. Or he should be self-aware that, you know what? I am actually replacing these people's job. This is not a good thing. That's what consciousness would tell you and teach you to do. Like, hey, be alert and be aware of your actions, and realizing that, hey, what you're doing is not a good thing. So I think consciousness also comes with being tied to being able to differentiate good and bad. A robot doesn't know that. He just knows, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. I don't care if I replace your job. That's your business. That's your problem. But to me, it's like consciousness comes with more just being aware. It's just paying attention to everything that's going on, like I said, and just being aware of, just even knowing the difference between good and bad and stuff like that. I don't think AI knows that. Even if you do program it, it's still probably gonna do the opposite or just go straight one way.
What's your
That
answer?
is such a dang. I don't even know how to really add on to that, but I feel like consciousness is basically like, we talked about this before. Like when it comes to like a life or death situation, we're gonna use everything in our memory to try to get through that situation because you're trying to fight for survival. But like even though we don't have enough information to get through a situation, we usually still try to do something or we end up freezing up. With an AI, it's not like that. It's gonna search for just about anything that can match up with that, and it's gonna try to do anything similar to that. It's not gonna have no type of memory, in the way of a human would. Like it wouldn't be as aware. It'll probably do things more efficient in a situation, in a bad situation, because it's consistently meant to do that. But that doesn't make it, like efficient. Because the thing about AIs is, with humans, no human is perfect. So no AI is perfect. Because you can't program a perfect AI because no human is perfect.
Technology is not perfect.
Technology is not perfect, man.
Is it?
Your phone crashed, right? Your phone sometimes blinks out, does it?
You gotta get a new phone.
Hold on. Hold on.
Is that because you messed up your phone? But you're a human, so you messed that up. But that just means you're not perfect. And so as long as a human is still here, an AI is not going to be anywhere towards perfection. It won't be able to operate perfect with humans.
Let me tell you something. let me. Okay, listen. Artificial intelligence. No, let me roll that back. Let's talk about technology for 2 seconds. Technology, there's a difference between hardware and software. Software can be perfect. It is definitely possible. If you have the right hardware and the right application for it, it will work 100% of the time with very minimal errors, depending on what those things are. And there are circumstances that are out of its control. You can build a system that does not fail, but you might have the sun, which can literally send certain, I think it's called a solar flare, and it could affect certain technology by turning certain bits like 0 into a 1, which can affect the overall circumstances. But if that wasn't a variable in this equation, the technology and the hardware would be perfect. If you program something to go like this, just up and down, it would work flawlessly. The only issue would come is if it's not maintained properly. So if you stack another system to maintain that system that goes up and down, you have a system that's going to continue to work. You still following me? The problem I'm having with this argument, if you give an artificial intelligence enough information, it can surmise its own personality. It can gain consciousness via that way. It can understand that with more information it has, and you program it to learn, and you teach it to adapt or program it to adapt by saying in code, okay, I'm going to feed you all of humanity's history that is known currently today. What do you think of it? It will be able to generate an answer. That's part consciousness, is it not?
But
like you said,
generate an answer from what?
From surmising, because it's analyzing all that information and it's surmising an answer to your question.
But it won't be accurate because it's only going to generate an answer that the human program. But actually, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good question for you. So we talk about software, how it can be perfect, but describe what perfect is. Give an example of perfect. What is perfection?
Accurate, flawless, without imperfection.
Okay, but here's the thing. There's nothing in life that is perfect. And you know why? Because the reason why there's nothing perfect in life is because everyone's different.
That's perfect.
That's not perfect.
Having differences is perfect. Being the same is dangerous.
Okay. And that's what every software will be. The same, because they're all perfect.
That's not necessarily true.
But you said all software can basically
if you
be
can program
perfect.
It can, yes. When you apply it to certain applications.
Okay, but then they're all doing the same thing. But like you said, when they're all doing the same thing, it's dangerous. So how's that perfect?
Describe to me what you mean by they're all doing the same thing.
You said the software would do everything to minimum errors, right? Which is basically close to perfection. But then we also describe this as everything being the same is dangerous. But with humans, we're all not the same. And that's why AI it doesn't have a soul.
Okay,
it doesn't have a soul because it only does what is dangerous and that it can only do.
For us as human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
There we have more than enough to be considered perfect in so many ways. Our existence is akin to perfection in a sense of the word. Okay, the odds that there's a planet that can exist long enough to even create life and sustain it to the point of intelligence to thrive. Think about everything that has to come into play for that. Enough gas has to exist in a galaxy. Enough gravity had to be accumulated to literally morph it into a planet. The planet had to have cooled enough. There had to not been enough things to attack it, like another asteroid, to disrupt that process. Then it had to cool down, and then other things like water, in our case, had to exist. Microorganisms had to thrive. The list goes on and on and on. And then think about the amount of steps that go into literally life itself to exist. And then you have to factor in a whole nother level of crap for intelligence, beings, creatures, whatever you want to call it, to exist on that planet. The odds are so slim because there are thousands, millions, billions, trillions, and there's another number that I'm sure exists that I just lack the vocabulary for, maybe Google amount, I don't know. For that odd to exist, we are literally perfection at its finest by those odds because we exist. That being said, to think that artificial intelligence can't get to that point from what we would describe ourselves as perfection is weird. It's weird to me. Why would it not?
The fact that we're even like creating artificial intelligence lets you know that we lack substance, so we lack something. We're over here creating a technology to do something that we don't want to do, or we just, I'm getting tired of this. Why don't you do this? So we're only going to program so much and teach it so much. And you said we're perfect, and I have to debunk that too. I don't think we're as far as humans, maybe in science or God's eye, we're made in perfection, so to say. But in reality standpoint, we have so many flaws. We have so many issues that it goes back to what I'm saying, to the point that we are even thinking about, you know what? I'm gonna replace you. I'm gonna replace you. I'm gonna replace me. Because I don't feel like we're good enough. I need a machine to where I can control it and tell it what to do and tell it how to function. I'm gonna teach it how to be perfect, even though I don't come with perfection. I'm a flesh. This is a machine, but I'm gonna program it so much shit that even when you ask whatever question, like, hey, what do you think about everything I just taught you and everything, you're gonna analyze and come up with what. It's already being programmed. It's going to look at the whole thing from a whole spectrum and say, okay, this happened, yeah, it happened, yeah. It's like a teacher asking a student, hey, give me a summary of that page you just read right there. What information did you gain from that? You're just giving a summary of it. That don't mean it's accurate. That's just your opinion of what you think that is to it. But at the end of the day, that's human. That's technology. Technology is only going to pick up what you teach it. I can't just look at this technology and just say, you know what, you're gonna be perfect. You're gonna be better than it's impossible. Because at the end of the day, it's always gonna be missing some substance. It's always gonna be missing something. It's always gonna, for one, it has to be updated. Technology. I mean, look at our iPhone. There was a point in time where we were updating maybe once every 6 months. Now we're updating like every fucking day. Like every day. I'm sorry, I don't know if we can cuss on here. We're updating like literally every day. So that shows you right there with AI. It's something that you have to keep feeding it constantly, just to even keep up with what's current. It's not something that you can program one time like a human and you learn it as you go. And then if AI makes a mistake, who's going to be responsible for those actions, for the consequences for that? Yeah. Let me ask you, no. Who's going to be responsible for it? Because
it's responsible for itself.
Oh, so we can
the owner of it. It's like a Tesla.
No.
Yeah.
It can't be the owner. Okay, so then it's so you're telling me you still need a human to pay for whatever consequences.
But it's no different. It's okay.
It's no different than what a human.
It's no different. If you were a parent and your child got into trouble, you would be facing the consequences of the child. It's independent of you, but you are responsible for it. A car like Tesla, you can program it and tell it to come to you. It can park it. You can go to a restaurant.
I know.
Go to your phone, click park yourself. It can go diddle off for 6 blocks and then park itself, and you can tell it to come back. No different than an AI. If a robot or droid, if you told it, go get me the pizza a mile away, it can either get in the car, drive the car, go pick up the pizza, and then gets into a car accident. You as the individual who owns that thing is responsible for it.
Okay,
no different.
Oh, so you saying then? So that kind of diffuses what you're saying then at the same time. So you're saying you're going to be held accountable for whatever that machine does.
Absolutely.
But if the machine was perfect, it would know that, hey, I need to be held accountable for this. But there's no way to discipline a machine than to turn it off or, this.
So it basically doesn't have that consciousness.
It doesn't have that. So
but it does.
What conscious?
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it still boils down to you. Whatever you tell it to do, I need you to go do that. If you have conscience, you would know that. Hey, I'm hungry. It's time for me to eat. You cooking some dinner? AI doesn't have that conscience,
but it can
unless
learn.
you tell it.
But it can learn.
And it doesn't even eat. Well, this way of eating is changing.
It eats power.
Come on, get out of here, man. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so you're powering up a machine is equivalent to us doing the same thing. That's not the same.
We eat the power ourselves. We sleep the power
food.
ourselves. Substance. It's all it is.
It's not. I'm telling you, it's not
energy.
the same.
We need energy. We need energy to thrive, and we need energy to sleep. Energy is key.
Okay, then why is the AI not doing the same thing then as a human if it's just?
It is. It's power. It plugs into an outlet.
I have to plug you in. If I program it, hey, make sure you plug yourself up after a certain time when you're getting low on battery. I'm still held accountable for that AI. I'm still held accountable for whatever happens to you. So at the end of the day, you're not really as self-efficient as you claim to be because you still rely on me. You do something wrong, that's going to boil down on me, not you. You're just going to go to the next owner or the next machine or get reprogrammed somewhere else. So to me, you're just a substance. You're just another machine that is just going to be here, but you're not going to be able to replace a human. I don't care what is being programmed in your brain, how much stuff you develop. Yes, technology is going crazy right now. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is at the end of the day, my whole thing to this is more so you would never replace a human. I don't give a fuck how much memory gig, or whatever you have stored up there. Like, there's going to come a point when you reach a threshold and you say, you know what? Yeah, I don't think I can go past this. This is where I'm at. I'm a machine. You're a human. We're still different. Let's be honest here.
Man.
So,
I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay. I feel like that's definitely reasonable. Like, there's just, I feel like there's definitely a difference, between the AI and human. And it's kind of just like I said, like we can't be a dog. We can try to assimilate as close to a dog as we want to, try to do similar things as a dog. But it's just, you only going to get so far with doing that. You're just not a dog. You're just not a cat. You're a human. Same with AI. It can become more dangerous than us. It can become safer. It can become whatever it is, but it's not going to be a human. With that said, it's not going to have the same capability as a human.
A human is responsible for its own actions.
Mm-hmm.
Technology. I'm just saying, if I'm going to own you, so I'm responsible for you.
I'm gonna hit home here. I'm gonna hit this out of the park. Follow along for 2 seconds, right? 2 minutes. I need 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Listen, you have a baby, and you have the inner workings. Let's say you have a trilobite. I don't even know if that's a real word.
Let's
say you have 1 million terabytes worth of data that you can give to an AI generated program. And this is starting new. A baby and a blank slate for an AI generated program. Let's say in 16 years, you fed it all kinds of information. You taught the child how to walk, because they figured out how to crawl. The AI programs are no different. You can train an AI program to play a game like Super Mario Bros. And it learns the different buttons. It learns how to fight. It knows when you give it an okay versus correct versus superb. It's able to learn behavior. No different than when you had a kid and you tell the kid, don't touch the hot iron, don't touch the stove, don't go in the kitchen. You're correcting its behavior. It's able to explore because you can program it to explore, and it's learning. No different than a child learning and growing, right? Crawl, walk, run. AI programs, give it a body, figure out what a limb is, figure out what dexterity is. You correct its behavior. Now it learns. Now it's able to interact with its environment. Then you start feeding it data, no different than a child. This is a cup. This is a phone. You correct its behavior. You learn it the same way that a child learns how to use an iPhone at the age of 3 or 4. Can a child learn any faster than AI? I think they can learn at the same rate in current markets today. Only because, hear me out, only because there's so much research in it, it's not far-fetched for it to be able to. How fast? Have you seen some of the videos and research into it?
Trust me, I'm up to part. I'm up to.
Okay, it doesn't take long for a program to learn, especially if you're designing a program that's an artificial intelligence for a specific application. It doesn't take long for it to finally figure it out. You might have to tweak certain things. Fine.
Okay, so it's only for a specific application.
Yeah, but I'm saying this is where I'm going with this 2-minute spiel. When you have a droid that could be so autonomous, my argument is you can train several AIs to work together with one mainframe. It could be like the cloud, right? It can reach into the cloud, get certain information, then relay that back to the droid, and the droid can enact the process or whatever it's trying to do, right? You can have one artificial intelligence for an arm. It knows what to grab with the dexterity, whatever it is. You can have another one for another arm. You can have one for its legs and its body. And the main hub in the head is able to delegate tasks to the droid, no different than how a human being is able to independently do multiple tasks simultaneously because the child learned to do it. It's no different. If you look at an AI program or a droid, and if you're able to give artificial intelligence the benefit of the doubt for 2 seconds, and you look at it like training a child, what you're saying is no different. You're teaching, you're correcting, and you're responsible for a child's behavior no different than you would be if you had a car that's autonomous, like a Tesla, or an Android that's able to do everything like you. But you're still responsible for it.
But I'm not giving a child data, though. I'm actually physically teaching it right from wrong.
And AI, you can do that with the program.
No. With AI, I'm just feeding you straight information. You already, okay, so yeah, this is what you want me to do. I'm controlling you. I'm telling you what to do.
It's no different than, okay, so
but even the child itself will go the opposite way. If you tell it, hey, don't do this, don't do that, it will actually do the opposite of what you say just so he can learn from the mistake. Technology, wave your hand. It's not saying, oh, no, I'm going to look the opposite way. It's going to do exactly what I tell it to do. You cannot do that with a child.
And actually, that was a good example. It's just the only problem is that they're still different. Because look, it's kind of with that consciousness. Like when you raise, let's say, for example, like you said, you get a baby and you get a newborn AI, whatever the crap, right? And they both are raised to get older. They're still going to be different because when you tell a baby, hey, don't touch a frying pan, right? It's going to burn. It's going to hurt, right? The baby's going to know, okay, I touched this frying pan. It's going to hurt. But even with an AI getting somewhat of that consciousness, it's going to know, hey, I can touch this.
It's not going to hurt me.
It's not going to hurt me. Or I can, matter of fact, I lose an arm. I can just get another one. Okay. I lose my neck. I can just be reprogrammed. That's consciousness.
Okay, hold on.
Knowing that, but we're not going to obviously tell AI to do that. You know why? Because we don't want to spend money on giving it more stuff. We don't want to spend more money on trying to fix it consistently. We're going to program it to be perfect. We're going to program it so it doesn't do those stupid things. And it's actually not going to do those stupid things. Okay. But that's not consciousness.
Let me.
No. Wait. What were they? I want you to understand this, right? Mm-hmm. The reason why it's also so different. The reason why we're so different, AIs. Look, us humans, we don't do stupid things because we know that it can affect us way worse.
What?
No.
Have you seen them fail videos?
No, we've seen people do stupid things. But I'm saying most of us, like, we understand, we're all different, obviously, but we all know that pain is pain. Mm-hmm. So with that said, it's kind of just like you asking me, yo, see, man, let's go jump out of this helicopter without a parachute or anything. We're just going to jump out, and we're gonna land. We're gonna die. You know, like an AI, it'll be like, okay, we can do this because I can just be rebuilt. I can just turn back on.
You can't feel pain.
It's not the same thing. I mean, yes, it's gonna probably be like, well, that's stupid. Why would I do that? I'm an AI. I love this world. It's gonna be programmed to say what it wants to say, but consciousness is gonna know, like, hey, I can do this and just get a new body. Hey, I can do this and just get a new arm, or hey, I can do this and just get a new software.
I gotta debunk this real quick.
You have to. How can you debunk that?
Okay. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. We really appreciate it. A special shout out to Green Screen Studios here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Listen, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can direct message us either on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It's always going to be chocolate_espresso_. Listen, we really appreciate you. I said it once, I said it twice. I'm going to say it 1 billion times if that's what it takes. If you guys want to reach out to us, especially if you know anyone or if maybe you want to be interviewed about your job, the goal is to really teach a lot of youth about the different opportunities that are available to them. College is great. It's always going to be great. Not everybody wants to go to college, or maybe college just isn't on the table right now. So I want to push as much content that pertains to jobs and jobs that may or may not require college. Maybe you just need to network. Maybe you just got to put a lot of work into the beginning as an entry-level person. But you know, I really look forward to producing as many interviews as I can and posting it. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.